If you are trying to get to my Zoom room for the class, please exit and retry. No. All right. All right. We're going to start in just a minute for those of you streaming this or watching it after it was streamed. And I'm just going to, we have a couple of people on Zoom. Welcome, Jeff and Dolma. Please feel free to come off of mute and ask questions anytime you like. I've got one person in the room, and we're going to get started. So, welcome all of you, everybody watching this. What we're going to talk about this hour is SOI marketing. Another way to think about this is SOI stands for Sphere of Influence. So we're talking about how to connect with your sphere of influence. And we're going to walk through it and discuss it, and hopefully it will be helpful to everybody. So what we're going to do today, first of all, we're going to really sort of take a little bit of a dive into what does it mean? What is your sphere of influence? Secondly, what are our objectives in marketing to them? What is it we're trying to achieve by going after this group, which, by the way, is the number one source of business for agents in most agents, including agents in productivity coaching. Then we're going to actually talk about, well, how would you set up an intentional plan around it so that it could be useful, successful for you? And then hopefully we're going to answer some questions, maybe do a little bit of role play around dialogues and whatnot. So let's dig in. What is your sphere of influence? So your sphere of influence is people that know you, people that would recognize you if you pass by them on the street. So who is in this group? Certainly everyone in your family, and by the way, they don't have to live close by, right? No matter where they are. Family, your friends, people in other jobs you have or have had, your classmates from college and high school and schooling efforts, service providers, like, for example, the person that does your hair or your nails or your cat sitter or your dog walker, doctors, anybody that provides services to you and your family who would recognize you because of a long-standing relationship would be considered in this group too. Also, acquaintances. Many people in our program have faith communities that they belong with, or they have gyms that they go to all the time, or they're involved in some manner in some sort of community, and they know people there. They may not know their name, but if they ran into them on the street, they absolutely would recognize each other from that association. And those people are sphere of influence as well. And when I work with newer agents, the number one things that happens is that people underestimate. They think they know far fewer people than they actually do know. People say I might know 20, 30 people, but in fact, most of us, if you actually use this definition and think about it, probably at least 100, if not more, all over the world, not necessarily here in the current location. The other thing I want to say about this is we have a tendency nowadays to say, if they're in my phone, they're my sphere. But people that you don't have a phone number for. They're not in your phone that you could phone them. Maybe you know them via social media. Maybe you know them and they are older and they don't really use cell phones much and you don't phone them much. So it's not just the names in your phone. Does anybody have any questions? It looks like we have 4 people on Zoom now. Does anyone have any questions about this definition? Feel free at any time, for those of you on Zoom, to come off Zoom and just ask the questions you have. You don't have to wait or put your hand up or anything. Okay, so I said that most people underestimate. So we have a tool called the Brain Rattler. And when we click on this, it takes us to a basically questions, and you can go through a little exercise to see down all the names you can think of. Dentist, doctor, who does your taxes. Some of these things don't apply for you. If you live in a condominium, maybe you don't know who does your landscaping or who cuts your grass or maintains your yard. Um, all kinds of service providers. Who did you go to high school with? Who are your frat brothers and sisters or sorority brothers and sisters, former teachers and coaches? If you actually fill this out honestly, and what you want to do when you're filling it out, guys, is don't get into your head. Oh, I haven't talked for them 20 years. I can't put them on this list. Put them on the list anyway. We'll get to the issue of how to talk to them later. But don't self-censor your list. If you can think of a name of someone who would absolutely know you if you ran across them on the street, then you absolutely want to have them on this list. If you have children, your children's teachers and their coaches. Maybe you have a kid who plays soccer or plays football or something. You probably know their coach. What about your kids' friends' parents? And then it goes on and on. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see it's a very thorough kind of brain trigger, that will help you to get names of people you might not even be thinking about it. And this sort of helps you to sort of trigger you to remember all the people you know. So there's all these questions. And then after the 150 questions, it sorts it by decision makers in your world and uh, um, and you can use this as a tool to start figuring it out. And I promise you, there'll be people that are in your brain rattler exercise who are not in your phone. So, as I said, most people think they don't know a lot of people, but you can probably come up with close to 100 names without just by going through this exercise. And that is a start. Um, Before we do that, let's just talk about the next step for this. Once you've identified these names on the Brain Rattler, you should put them into your database. Most of us here use KW Command. So put them into Command, even if you don't have an address or a phone number or an email for them, put them there and mark them, tag them. So we use tagging a lot in our world now for our Instagram posts and for and we use it for database management too. So, you don't just want to classify names in your database A lead, B lead, or C lead. You also want to classify them based on your relationship to them. For example, if you tagged all your friends with the tag friend, you could use Command or whatever database you use to quickly pull up a list of all those people who you've put in the system who are your friends. And maybe you want to send a special message just to friends, but not to family, or vice versa. So step one is do this exercise. And step two is to put them into your database with or without phone numbers and email addresses and mailing addresses. Okay. All right. Now, what I would like everyone to do is shout out the first soda brand that comes or put it into chat. There's 4 of you on Zoom. Put it into chat. Okay. We have an answer. We only have one person live in the room today. So we'll see what the other you guys say, and then we will talk about this. I've got 2 of you Zoomers. Uh, all right. So that is fascinating. Okay. So we have the person in the room here said Coke, and then 2 of you said Fanta, which is fascinating, and 1 of you said Pepsi. It's interesting to me because most of the time when we do this exercise, everybody says Coke or Pepsi. The fact that 2 of you chose Fanta is absolutely fascinating. I have never actually heard anyone say Fanta before. I've heard Tab. Um, but here's the important part. Whether you said Coke, Pepsi, or Fanta, there's a reason why that came into your head first. The companies that own those brands spent millions, if not hundreds of millions, so that you would think of them first when you thought of a soda brand. So the question then is what are you guys going to do to be the first name that people think about when they need a real estate agent? When they think about real estate agents, are they going to think of you first? The whole point of sphere marketing is to not just tell your friends and family that you're a real estate agent now. That's message one. Then you want to get into more serious messages that help them to start thinking about you as a realtor so that when you're not communicating with them and it's been 2 months and they suddenly need someone to help them find an apartment or a house or sell their place or do an investment or figure out their affordability, whatever it is, your name comes to their mind, to their brain, the same way that these soda brands came to your name. That is the goal here. Now, the only way we achieve this is by a serious strategy that is consistent and persistent. We're going to talk about that. So before we get into that strategy specifically, let's just develop some sort of key ideas here. The first one is many of you guys have friends and family when they say, what does he do or what does she do? Don't think of realtor. They think of mom or dad, or they think of accountant, or they think of project manager, or whatever your world was, actor, Uber driver, whatever your world is or was, that's what many people think about when they think of what you do. What is your profession? What is your calling, right? So the goal of this whole thing is to not is update what people perceive you as, so that they think, oh, that she or he is a realtor, right? And another part of our marketing objective is not just to tell them once, but to remind them regularly. Now, that doesn't mean you have to literally say you're a realtor every time you talk with them. Absolutely not. You're going to remind them in a lot of different ways that give them the message that you're a realtor without you actually saying it. You don't always, with people you know and love, the last thing any of us want you to be doing or that you want to be doing is being pushy. You want to provide, you want to be engaging with people and informative with people. You certainly don't want to be pushy. If your family starts to think that every time you phone them, you're going to be pushing them to buy or sell a house, that's not going to be good for your relationship. So we don't want that. What we want is to remind them that we're a real estate agent or a realtor in a way that is engaging, that gives them good information, but doesn't make them feel that you're constantly asking them for something. One of the ways we do this is to think about your communication as an opportunity to share a gift with the other person. Share not just of your awesomeness, which is a gift, but also share some nugget. And it doesn't need to be a physical thing. So we certainly have agents who go do farming strategies where they walk around the neighborhood with little packets of seeds, and they have a cute little marketing message around it, and they give the neighbors seeds to grow flowers in their gardens, right? That's lovely. We have other agents who at Christmas time or Thanksgiving give out pies, and the people come to the office and they get their free pie. And that can get really expensive. I don't recommend it in your first year. But, it can be far more, it doesn't need to be necessarily a physical thing. And if it is a physical thing, it doesn't need to be something you spend thousands of dollars on or even hundreds. It's something that you could maybe pay $100 and buy a box full of them and give them out. Bookmarks, pens, there's all kinds of swag you can do that creates a sharing opportunity. Now, of course, certain swag is so all over the place that people don't think of it as a gift anymore. So you want to, think about what it is you want to give. Every year at the end of the year, I send all my sphere a calendar that is on a magnet that they can put on their fridge. And it has a tear off for each month. And so every month when they tear it off, they see my name at the top of the fridge magnet calendar. And people come to me and say, I didn't get mine this year. I went to a listing appointment a few years ago where the person I was meeting with, I sold her a house 10 years earlier, and on her fridge were 10 years worth of my calendars. She never took them off the fridge. Um, but maybe when you're door knocking, you could give out a non-physical gift. We can talk about what those would look like. The point is to provide something where you're bringing value to the experience of interacting with this person in your sphere so that you can be the Coke or Pepsi of real estate for your people, right? That's sort of what our high level we're trying to do. So, how do we do it? We're going to actually look at a program. The first thing I want to say about this is I want everyone who does this to be intentional. Now, what the heck do I mean by intentional? I mean a plan. I don't want you just to wing it. I want you guys to develop a plan that you're going to follow up on every week, every month to make sure it happens. And you're going to create a whole process for yourself so that it works. And technology really helps with this to automate a bunch of it. And that is going to allow you to create a system around this so you don't really need to think about it. And that system may simply be automatic emails. It could be that simple, but it could also be task items that show up on your personal calendar when you need to do them. What we want here is to develop 3 messages every month that you can share with this group. Why 3? Because there's been a lot of studies about this, and for maximum thought penetration, you need 36 in a year. They don't all have to be 3 every month. You could do 4 one month and 2 the other month. If you only did 35, you're better than if you did 0. So even if you can't get to 36, if you can get to 30 or even 24, you're doing better than the agent that doesn't do anything. But 36 is optimal, which is roughly 3 a month. The other thing about these messages is you're going to do these messaging in a variety of different communication methods. Some will be in person. Some will be over video chat, Zoom, Teams, or Google Meet. I don't care. Some will be a telephone call. You may be having a person you want to communicate with who's better on phone, doesn't like to do video. I have a lot of people like that. They would far rather talk to me on the phone than do a video. Maybe some of them will be text or email. Maybe some of them will be direct messaging via a social media app. It will depend on what your plan looks like. But I do recommend that you mix it up and that you have a variety of different methodologies that you're going to try. I'm going to share with you and walk you through a template on the next slide that is available on the agent portal and that you can link to from this presentation, which is available at the end. This presentation will be put on YouTube, by the way, for future use. But the other thing I want to mention is we have this AI thing happening now. You can actually use AI to be even better with this. Like I'm going to show you a manual, old school way of setting this up using a worksheet, but there's nothing to stop you from using an AI service to say, hey, I want to set up a communication plan for all my clients. I'm a real estate salesperson. I want to do three items a month. Give me a plan. And then all you need to do is edit what they give you and customize it for yourself. So you don't have to do what I'm about to share with you. It's just one way. I don't really care how you set up your plan. You don't have to use my template. As long as you have a plan that you intend to follow through, that you're going to follow through on. The other thing I would add about your plan is the more you personalize it, the more you make it unique to you, the better it's going to work because you will stand out in a sea of communication interchanges. So we're not just talking about direct mail, right? Or direct messaging or texts or emails. We're talking about ways that we can reach out to the people that already have a connection with us in a way that makes us sort of be memorable. And the more it's about you and your personality, the stronger it's going to be. And that also touches on the fact that all the messages don't have to be directly about them buying or selling or investing. Your messaging can be different. And we're going to look at a detailed plan about how to get there next. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. All right, let's keep going. So on the agent portal, there is a link to something called the 36 touch template. The 36 touch template is is the worksheet I was just talking about. And it is basically what I did is I divided the month into the 5th, the 15th, and the 25th. And I said, okay, here's an idea for January, February, March, April, May, every month of the year. I color coded it so I knew what the modality was, like how we were going to do it. So orange is text messages, direct messaging, and emails. We want to use that, but we want to be careful not to overuse it. We need other modalities. The light blue is direct mail. Now, not everyone has a huge budget, but you can do 400 names for under $500 a month. So it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. And spending $500 a month on real estate marketing is pretty low in the standard of Bay Area real estate agents. So, but you may not have that money right now. So maybe in the short term, your plan doesn't have direct mail, but I want you to incorporate it as soon as possible. Some people say nobody reads mail anymore. Why should I bother with mail? Because over time, if you send out a piece every month, even the act of taking out of the mailbox and putting it in the recycling bin, because they have to sort it out, right? They're going to get you. Most people, when we get our direct mail, we get a lot of junk, right? And then we get that odd, really good thing, maybe a check, maybe a personal letter or something we really want. We have to pass our eyes over top of the piece that's going to go to the recycling bin. Even if it's your piece, that registers. If you do it every month, they're going to come to expect it. Anyone getting their mail is going to say, oh, here's my monthly piece from these people. Oh, let's put it in the recycling bin. But 18 months later, when they think, God, we need to find a real estate agent, we don't know anybody. What about that guy who sends us that mail all the time? And then the husband says to the wife, yeah, we just got one. Here's his contact information. By the way, that story is completely true. That happened to me last year. I got a lead on a listing from someone who had been getting direct mail from me for a long time. And they found my contact information that way. Now, yes, had they gone on the internet, they might have been able to find me, but they couldn't remember my name. They knew they wanted to work with me, and they knew that if they saw me, they'd recognize me. They didn't remember my name. So if they went on the internet, on the computer, they might not have an easy time finding me. So the fact that there was a direct mail piece that I had just sent them a few days earlier got me that business. So direct mail should not be completely disregarded. And then the green is calls and meetings, both in person and telephone and video. So I have 13 direct messaging or texts, 7 emails, 12 direct mail pieces, 1 a month, and then 4 calls or meetings, getting to 36. That's it. Okay, now you're thinking, you might be thinking, so what the heck am I going to do? So this is an example of what I do. Okay, so the 5th, or not what I do, but what the template says. Here, I've created this for you. You can take this, it's on the portal, and customize it for your own use. Okay, so on the 5th of every month, I send a text link to a monthly marketing report. Where do I get the monthly marketing report? I get it from our marketing staff at KW Advisors. Whether you're in any of our offices, your marketing person at the office can get you that link and make sure you get it every month. It comes from California Concierge. Some of you are familiar with California Concierge. So that's an easy one. Not only that, they will customize it for you so it's actually branded to you. So when your client clicks on the link, it will open up your version of the report. For branding, I don't know. We have to check. I was just thinking, do they charge for that? So let me show you a way I use it, guys. When I send out an email to anybody, here's an email that I sent out to Krista. Latest marketing stats here. And you click on it and it opens up my personalized version. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, it's going to work. And so it has the name of my team, my personal logo, and they can click through. This is an older one. There's my picture. So they can personalize it for you. Okay. So that's exactly what I'm talking about here. So now, if you simply do that, if you don't do anything else with your sphere, this is 12 of your 36 hits. You're now a third of the way there. That was easy, right? On the middle of the month, I mix it up a little bit. I do a direct mail piece on most of the months, but in 4 of the months, I do something else. Sorry, 3 of the month, 4 of the month, where I do something else again. So DM means direct mail. That's a newsletter. And that's in January. And then in March, I send out a postcard about wealth building and investment strategies, maybe about taxes because it's March. Then I send a new version of the newsletter in April. And then in June, I do a buy versus rent postcard, why you should buy instead of rent, the advantages of buying versus renting. In July, I do my newsletter again, 4 times a year, right? In September, I do a tax strategies because people are thinking for year end. In October, I do a newsletter. Now, on the other 5, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, what I'm calling calls, quarterly check-in. So in this case, it could be a phone call. It could also be a coffee date. It could also be a video message, a video chat. It could be anything you want it to be. But and of course, in this calendar, it's showing up on the middle of the month 4 times a year. But you might, you're going to do this when you start making arrangements with people. They're going to be busy. They're going to have different things going on. So this isn't happening all the time. I would try to do 2. If I had 100, if you have 100 names in your database, let's make it simple. Let's suppose you have 120 names in your database. That's 10 coffee dates a month, or at least 10 phone calls and coffee dates a month. Not everyone's going to want to meet you for coffee or be available. That's completely doable with just 120 names that you get together for coffee with them once a quarter, or you phone them once a quarter, in addition to the other messaging. Remember from some of you who have done business planning with me, we've talked about relationship building and how it is far stronger to build trust and relationship by in-person and video and telephone than any of the digital stuff or the direct mail. So 4 times a year, we phone or call them or get together with them or video with them. And then the 5th time in November, holiday greetings. You want to reach out in November and early December to people and wish them the best of the season. You might do it in early November, then you can get Thanksgiving rolled in, right? And maybe, I don't want to be kind of too centering on Christmas holiday. Some people don't celebrate Christmas. Some people in some communities, it's Chinese New Year that's really the big event of the year, or Ramadan, or some other big festival. That's when you're going to do those calls for your holiday greeting. If your community doesn't celebrate Christmas, maybe that's not the best greeting to send out in November, December. But most Americans celebrate Thanksgiving. So there's nothing wrong with taking the first 2 weeks of November to call your 120 people, reach out to your 120 people to wish them the best of the season, of the holiday seasons. 120 people, many of you want to talk to nearly 100 people every week anyway. So if you start attempting in the 1st of November and you call 20 of the people in your sphere on the first day, it's going to take you all of 6 days to get 20, at least you leave voicemail messages, 20 reach outs. You could do this via text, but it's not as strong, I don't think, especially for holiday greetings. But This is just one strategy. This is just one implementation of the strategy. Yes, there's a question in the room. One sec, guys. I'll share it with you. So the question in the room is, where do you get direct mail designed and printed? So there are a number of places you can go to get direct mail designed and printed. Number one, and probably the least expensive, is go through California Concierge through our agent portal. So what I recommend everybody do is they go to the agent portal. So I'm happen to be in our Fremont office today, so I'm going to use the Fremont portal. But if you're in Oakland or one of the other offices, you just go to your portal and you go to marketing. It's the third thing down. And there are marketing requests, marketing magazine, branded resources, book a consultation. So you can book a consultation and talk to somebody there, and they will help you through all this stuff. And they will also, to some degree, help you with design. So that is one method. The other thing you could do is you can go to a website like, for example, expresscopy.com. I used to use these guys all the time. Dirt cheap, no consultation, but you can create your own postcards and flyers here. They have templates. It's real estate friendly. And you have to pay. Yes, of course. You have to pay for it. I don't know what it's doing here. I don't want this. It's a flat rate for whatever you order. But if you put on, you might be able to set up an automatic for the whole year at the same time. Absolutely. There's others. There's also Corfact. I'm not sure if these will be cheaper than going through our brokerage, but here's Corf. Here's Corf. And you can do similar things here. Okay. There are other companies that do this sort of thing. So those are just two simple examples. So let's go back to our plan. Did I answer your question? Okay. So the next thing is the third part of the month. So in the third part of the month, we've got a combination of direct mail because we want to do 12 direct mails a year. So we have the third week of the month. So every month your client gets direct mail, even though they're not getting it in the middle of the month in this particular implementation on February and May. The month where you're doing the direct call, I do the direct mail in the third week of the month. So just listed or spring forward postcards. You don't have to think about that at all. Just brand it to yourself and send it out. And then in May, top 10 reasons why now is a good time to sell. Top 10 reasons in August why now is a good time to buy. In October, I just listed the fallback postcard. And then holiday gift or card in the mail or via email. This is direct mail, so this is in the mail. And then the other thing I have is a bunch of texts or emails here. You could email them a resource list, a link to your blog, a blog post that you saw that you liked. You could do that every March to everybody. And then in April, you could send them a link. Hey, I've got this great KW app to look at properties, right? Link to another blog post in June. Here's a link to get my exclusive resource list of all the vendors I work with, just for you for responding to this link. Blog post again. And then in December, I've always felt that you should have a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of humor with this. And so texting something fun might be a cool thing, some cool graphic or some cool video or you could do as well. Emmeline, just come off mute and ask your question.
Yes, I was wondering is there anywhere we could find this template, or could you share this
Which
with
one?
us?
The one I'm showing you?
Yeah,
The one I'm showing you right now? Yes, that is a great question. So when we go to our agent portal, let's go back to our agent portal. You go down to productivity coaching and you go down to resources and you go into toolkit and 36 touch plan is right at the top. When you click on 36 touch plan, here is the worksheet you just asked me about. And then there's a recording here of a previous version of what I'm doing right now with you guys. Yeah. All right. I am going to probably replace this old YouTube with a new YouTube now that we're doing this class, with more, which is more up to date. Okay. Now, did I answer your question, Emmeline?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. All right. So we've now put together 36 communications. Now this looks like intimidating, but a lot of it can be automated. You can automate the direct mail using your service provider for whoever's going to print it and mail it for you. You can automate the monthly market report to go out every month without you having to think about it. And you can even automate at least a reminder when it's time to send some of these other emails and texts. And you can set a task reminder for you to do the quarterly check-ins, however that's going to look for you. So what typically happens at this point is, people start thinking about it and they think, well, I really don't want to send out a just listed or a spring forward postcard. I don't have a listing and I think spring forward postcards are useless. I don't want to do that. So there's a tab at the bottom of this same worksheet called Content Ideas. Now, before I go here, this was just a brain dump I did, guys. This is not exhaustive. There are way other great agents who have other great ideas far beyond this. You can ask ChatGPT, they'll give you way more ideas. So this is just a starting point for you to get intentional and build your plan. So ideas for content, some ideas for texts and emails. Well, a forward greeting. Hey, how are you doing? That counts, right? How is the family? How is that vacation planning going? How's your work? That's called forward. Forward stands for, does anyone know what forward stands for? What does it stand for? That's right. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So why couldn't one, 4 times a year, that be your greeting via text? Free and easy. You don't need to be saying, hey, who do you want to know who wants to buy or sell a house right now? Especially with your sphere. Remember, our goals of sphere management is to let them know what we do without banging their heads over and asking for stuff, right? So forward is good. What about sending CMAs? There'll be people in your database who live in a house that they own, or they want to see what their house is worth, and you can send it unsolicited. Hey, just thought you'd be interested in this report I did just for you about your house. They may not be in the market to sell or not, but say, I was just thinking about your house and how what a great neighborhood it is in. I took the liberty of creating a report for you. Yes. Yes. One resource for CMA is Cloud CMA. You get it free with your MLS service. Another resource for doing CMAs is RPR, Real Estate Property Resource. You can do it with that service too. That comes free to you as well as a member of the Board of Realtors. There are other services that do CMAs. You can Google it, you'll find lots of them, but those are the two most popular around here. The monthly market update we just talked about. The housing market update is a different idea around the same thing. The monthly market update is basically actives pending, sold, days on market for a given geography. The housing market is what's going on with the economy, what's going on with interest rates, what's going on with demand and supply, generally factors impacting the desirability of housing in certain cities and areas. You could text a neighborhood nurture. That comes Keller Williams Command, the database that we recommend you use, has a built-in neighborhood nurture. Once you put in a mailing address, it can automatically send them updates on activity. If you don't use that or you don't want to use that, you can do it with your MLS, and you can also do it with third-party services like Real Scout, which is an alternative email system for your list for properties besides the MLS. Real Scout costs money though, $40 a month, not cheap. Link to a blog post, we talked about that. Sharing your KW app, that's cool. A cool website or portal that you found that you think is really neat. Doesn't need to be real estate related, but it could be. Just listed postcards and just sold postcards. Now, by the way, Even if you don't have your own listing or you don't have a recent sale, with the permission of the listing agent, maybe your mentor, maybe another agent at the office, you can send out just listed and just sold postcards to your sphere. You can promote an event. I do home buyer workshops 3 or 4 times a year. And so one of the emails that go and texts that goes out to my sphere of influence is, hey, I'm doing another workshop. Tell everyone you know. Here's the link to Eventbrite to sign up to RSVP for it. Some people like to do personal commentary. Sometimes they do it in the way of a newsletter at the top of their newsletter. Sometimes they just do it as a blog post, and you basically say, here's how I perceive whatever issue it is. This happened a lot when COVID first happened. And it also happened last summer when we were changing the way agents get paid, and there was a lot of uncertainty around that. So, what's to stop you guys from chiming in? You're already better trained than 90% of your counterparts, even if you've never sold a house. Maybe you're out on broker tour or on an open house Sunday and you see the most amazing listing. It's got something about it that's totally cool. Why not do an Instagram post about it? Why not send it as a link to your database via texting or even as an email? Maybe in that same visit, you saw something super cool in the neighborhood. Maybe somebody had one of those outdoor book stands where they give the free books and it's designed to look like a cow, right? And it's just like, wow, that is the most neat little bit of local community architecture. People love that stuff. Post about it on Facebook, Instagram, send out a text to your sphere. You could do a contest, not an expensive contest, but maybe you could have a name that final sale price contest for a listing you're holding open and promote it to your sphere. Even if they don't come to the open house, you can enter to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Let me know what you think this house actually closes escrow for, what it sells for. People love contests. People love it when you make it a game. Non-real estate stuff you want to share. Maybe you're into politics or maybe you're into sports and something cool you want to share. Share it with your sphere, but your sign off is, your friendly neighborhood realtor. But you don't have to ask them for business, right? Promote yourself as a referral source. This is especially powerful for phone and video and in-person get-togethers, especially for people super close to you, what I would call your advocates, the people who are just dying for you to succeed. And that's not just your mom and dad, right? Or your spouse. There are other people around you who only want you to succeed. So, especially for those people, you want to say to them quite explicitly, hey, I'm building this business here. You don't have to say you're new. I'm building this business here, and I can refer you to anybody or anything you need around housing. You need a carpenter, you need a plumber, I can get you a plumber. You need an agent in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I can get you an agent there. I want you to think about me as your go-to person for information. If you know a neighborhood that you're farming and your sphere people are in that geography, you can promote yourself as a neighborhood expert. I ask all of you in your first month or two to develop your unique selling proposition. Why not trying that out on your advocates, the people that know you best? Say, hey, and be quite honest with them. Hey, I'm developing this sort of perspectives that I want to share with people when I meet strangers. Can I try it out on you? I'm here. And then you go into the spiel with them. That's a cool thing to do. Giving them advice. An example of giving advice is if they own a home, advise them about putting it into a trust, because putting it into a trust could be very powerful. Another thing you can do that isn't here, bad on Stephen, is you can use your interaction with them to be strictly about verifying their contact information. Why not phone people in your sphere and say, hey, listen, just a quick call. I want to verify your mailing address. I have down here 23 Main Street, but Susie told me that you moved last year. I don't send a lot of direct mail. I'm not going to send you any junk, but, can I update your mailing address or your email address or anything? What's your third kid's name? Those first two kids are Bill and Bob, but what's the girl's name? I'm so sorry, I forgot. And by the way, when are their birthdays? It depends on your relationship, but you can use your texts and emails for verifying contact information. In fact, this one flows through to all the others as well. Well, not all the others. So that first column are messages geared for texts and emails. And I would also add and direct messaging, right? The next box is for voice when you are with people. These are just examples of things you might say when you're with somebody. One thing I really love in this group is a care call. You will know something about people in your circles. Maybe you have someone in your circle who's going through a rough time. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they're going through a situation with an elder, a senior parent, or a situation with a sick child, or maybe they're just struggling in their job. You should make it your business to check in on them. And you're not trying to sell them a house. You're just trying to say, hey, how's it going with that? Is there anything I can do to support you? That is immensely powerful way to connect with your sphere and to build trust. That's a gift in and of itself. Can I bring you some food? Can I bring your kid at college some food? I happen to be in the neighborhood. I'm over there, not where you are. I mean, there's all kinds of situations where you can provide support, won't cost much money, and you suddenly become someone that they see on as reliable. And when you're ready to talk to them about real estate or they're ready to make a real estate move, they're more inclined to trust you, right? And it's all about the trust. And we have mail outs. And these are just examples of kinds of ideas for sending out direct mail pieces. Again, this list is not exhaustive. It's just a start. Does anyone have any questions about the template or about the items, the sort of the ideas I've shared with you about building it out? Okay. So um, that's more or less it for what I formally wanted to say. I wanted to offer to you guys that two things more. When you're putting your names in your database of people in your sphere, make sure you tag those people who are those advocates or are your top 50 people who you know are special. You want to give them extra special love. If you have reason to believe that they're in your corner and will recommend you to anybody, you want to give them special love. Maybe instead of meeting them, maybe instead of just a phone call, you're going to make sure you meet with them in person 4 times a year, or maybe 6 times a year. Maybe they're the ones who are going to get an extra special gift from you. Maybe you're going to take them out for dinner. I don't know, but those groups should be segmented. The other thing I wanted to offer everybody, it's 10 to the hour, so we're nearly out of time, is I want to offer all of you um, you know, uh, eh, you're welcome to set up a one-on-one meeting with me to develop your personal plan. I love doing this sort of thing. And if I can help you if you want to take this template from the portal and develop something and then share with me what you've developed, that is something I would be very happy to do. And also help you with logistics. How do you actually put it into place? When I started some time ago, we didn't have the internet. That's the internet existed. Let me rephrase that. When I started, the internet was not used for business very much. Yahoo was young. Google was barely established. Okay. This is 20 years ago. And I actually did a lot more direct mail than email and people weren't texting that much at the early part of the century. So I would do direct mail and I had a file folder at home that was divided into the 7 days of the week and I would be doing these direct mail campaigns, and me and my assistant would print them at home or buy the postcards and label them at home, and they were branded to me. So I'd buy the print media, bring it in home in quantity because it was generic, and then I mean it was branded to me, but it was not specific to each person I was sending the direct mail piece to. So, for example, I would have a buy versus rent postcard, and I would order 300 of them or something. And then I would put them in days of the week or on days of the month folder for mailing out automatically. So anyway, there's all kinds of systems you can build. Nowadays, it's much easier than that, because the companies that you do the direct mail with will do it all for you. You just have to upload your address list. Does anyone have any other questions at this point? Because we're pretty much out of time.
Yeah, this is Emmeline, and I have a question. In regards to resources as like websites, are there any resources that you would recommend to get marketing material besides California Concierge?
Well, California Concierge will be the easiest, but there are lots and lots of them. I don't know if you're on the call. CoreFact, I brought up CoreFact on the screen, CoreFact.com, and Express Copy. Those are two I've used, EXPRESS copy.com. I brought them up on the screen. Let me see if I still have the website open. Sorry. Let me see. Do I have them? Here's CoreFact,
Okay.
right? Those are companies that will do all the direct mail stuff for you, and they'll do your branding too. I haven't used these for a long time. I work with California Concierge. They do it all for me. Is there a reason, Emmeline, you don't want to work with California Concierge?
No, I was just trying to find cheaper pricing to be able to
Yeah.
compare and just
So
different websites
Express
to,
Copy is known for their low prices.
yeah.
Remember, you get what you pay for, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty reasonable. Yeah, and those are two I know. There might be others, and you can just Google them. Um,
Okay.
but what I wanted to say is there's another great company for, I mean, excuse me, people, I'm sorry,
Bless you.
for direct mail. If you want to do, I'm sorry, not direct mail, for swag. If you want to order a large quantity, I like for imprint. Their customer service is really good, and their price are good. So if you want to find some really low do for door knocking or for sphere gifting. This is a website for that, for imprint. I've used them for things. I have a personalized pen. I get my pens from them. I get my water bottles from them to give out to clients at events and stuff. So for imprint, that's another option.
And then
Um,
do you know
you had a
any
second question?
hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Uh yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask really quick, if you knew any automated email services um that would work for
AW Command will automate the emails. But I don't, I use KW Command for all my emails, but and I use California Concierge to help me set it up. If you can't do it with KW Command or it's not working the way you want, there are absolutely ways to do it. You'd have to export your email list, and your MailChimp does email delivery for people, and they may have templates.
Okay.
Um, that's what I would say about that. But why reinvent the wheel? KW Command will do, I think, up to
Yeah.
1,000 a month without any charge. So
Wow.
how many? 5,000 a month without a charge. I
Okay.
actually do so much of it that I pay $10 a month to do 25,000. Not that I'm doing 25,000 a month, but I do a lot of emailing. So anyway, I need a little bit more.
All right.
All right. Did anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay. So the last slide on here is an ability for you guys to request a copy of this PowerPoint. We're not going to have time for that. Request a copy of this PowerPoint. Um, and uh, um, and you can do that by clicking on this QR code, and then it'll just ask you a couple of questions, and my assistant will she'll send you a copy of this presentation with the links. And of course, you can always watch this presentation again on my YouTube channel. Um, and thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. And of course, you can always reach me. My contact information's there. You have a follow-up question you didn't want to ask in front of the group, feel free to connect with me directly via text or email. Thank you, everybody. Have